Cool. I'll just wait another minute or two and then we'll get going.
All right. So if anyone wants to put in the chat box, just if, where they're from, part of Kansas City, or if this is their first time, or if they have been here before, maybe how they found out about this, if this is the first time, just to kind of, Jeremy and I are really on this mission to try to increase awareness of this organization. So
Yes.
I would love to hear some of those comments.
Yeah, definitely.
I have never had a request to record the meeting. We are recording it though, so we will be posting it on our website, YouTube channel, things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you need to record it on your own.
So you don't want me to record it?
You can record it.
Oh, I see.
Then it will, if you record it to the cloud, I should be able to look
Yeah,
it up.
I got it going to the cloud.
All
Lots of
right.
people joining. Okay. Should we go ahead and get started? Or you want to wait another minute or two?
Either way.
It's
It's
up to
always good
you.
to start on time so we can finish on time.
Good point. Okay. So welcome everybody. My name is Jeremy Didier and I am the co-founder of ADHDKC, which is Kansas City's award-winning CHAD chapter. And CHAD stands for Children and Adults with ADHD. And our presenter tonight is the fabulous Dr. Kristen Steppe, who also happens to be the co-founder of ADHDKC. And she's absolutely phenomenal. There's not enough amazing things for me to say about her in the short amount of time that we have available, but she's a fabulous pediatrician. She's an incredible marketing guru. She's a mom. She's a friend. She's a teacher, she's an advocate, she's a pioneer, and she is passionate about helping people with ADHD. And so I'm just going to let you take it from there. How's that sound?
It sounds like next time you ask if you want to introduce me, I'll just say, no, I'll do it myself. Because I just need to yeah.
Well, that was a good introduction.
It was, but just that it's weird.
Oh, it's all
All
true.
right. So I would love for everyone to participate tonight. I am a big believer that if you just sit there and listen, you're going to start just getting distracted. So I want everyone to participate a little bit. And one of the first things you can do to participate would be to put in the chat box how you heard about here, because we would love to figure out what marketing strategies are working. And I know someone already put in the chat box that it was from Pediatric Partners social media. So welcome, and I do that as well. So all fun. So we all want the magic bullet that will fix everything. And tonight we're going to talk about some of the ways we can change our minds that might seem too good to be true. There's really science behind how we can change our brain and the way it thinks. So this can help when we're anxious or depressed. It can help us when we need to focus, can help us learn to sleep better, all the things. All right. So first and foremost, CHAD disclaimer. Hang on, I have to get rid of the faces that are over the disclaimer so I can read them. CHAD does not endorse products, services, publications, medications, or treatments, including those advertised in any CHAD publications, webinars, or podcasts. I am not going to talk tonight about anything that is selling anything, but I would never do that. ADHDKC is a CHAD chapter, so we talk about the disclaimer every meeting. And then for those of you who joined a little early, I did comment that I am going to ask for comments. Anytime you see that little comment box icon, then I'm going to ask for some participation. So if you want to change your name so that it just shows up with initials or dollar or something, you can change your name and we'll go on. And another way you guys can let us know if there's a yes or a me response is to use the emojis under the little reactions button. If you hover down towards the bottom, you can find all these things. But I would appreciate that you stay on mute unless you ask to unmute, because if everybody starts getting off of mute, it gets really distracting with all the background noise. All right. And if you see this, it means we're going to play a mind game of sorts, a bit of magic tonight. All right, so we're going to start with a mind trick for a bit of fun. I want you guys to put in the chat box how many triangles you see. You guys can just try to put in how many triangles. Remember, it's all about tricks, so I don't expect a whole lot of right answers. Got some votes for 5, 8. You guys are counting a lot. 2, 7, 8. Big variety here. And if you guys look at it really carefully, oh, we got still people answering here. I don't know how many people are on this call, so I'm not sure how many numbers to anticipate. But we've got everything from 2 to 10, 11. Oh, 11 on the call. But from 2 to 10 triangles. Huge variation here. There's not actually a single triangle in the whole thing. So it looks like there's a triangle, like a white triangle pointing down, that's kind of brighter than the rest of the background, but it's just an illusion. Our brains create an outline that isn't there in what's known as a phantom edge phenomena. Sometimes our brains are convinced that things look one way, but if we step back and look at it from another perspective, we can see their perception isn't always right. And if you look at each part of this, it's more obvious that there are a few partial circles and some lines that form angles, but there is no actual triangle. And if you're very aware of each part, maybe even if you cover up the other parts, you can see it more clearly, or the lack of it more clearly. And that's a lot like how we can break apart situations that we're ruminating on and worried about, or having a discord with another person, trying to look at other angles of things, trying to see what other people are seeing. So we're going to talk tonight about something that has a lot of research to back it up. But a lot of people kind of dismiss mindfulness. They think they can't do it. It's too hard, or it's just silly. It's not going to do anything. But I'm going to try to start with some science, and then we'll practice some mindfulness techniques too, sprinkle in some more tricks too. All right, so for thousands of years, people have practiced meditation for spiritual, emotional, physical well-being. In nearly every religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam has a tradition of using meditative practices. It's been used for thousands of years, which means it persists over time. There's probably some value to it. And now, recently, scientists have been studying it, so we can actually show why it's working, how it's working. During meditation, brain scans show increased activity in areas of the brain that are correlated with decreased anxiety and depression, along with increased pain tolerance. So regular meditation can allow people to have improved memory, focus, self-awareness, empathy, and goal setting. And it also changes brain waves. So it's much beyond my understanding, but scientists can measure these frequencies, and meditators have higher alpha waves, which has been shown to reduce feelings of negative mood, tension, sadness, and anger. And if that wasn't enough, it also physically changes our brain shape and size. So studies have shown that after 8 weeks of meditation, gray matter was more dense in areas that were associated with learning, memory processing, and emotion and regulation. And if any of you joined me last month when we talked about anxiety, the amygdala is like the watchdog of our brain. It looks for dangers. It's like the dog that barks at everything, though. It's not very smart. And unfortunately, when it barks, it scares away the wise old owl part of our brain that does all our thinking. So we can't think. And you guys have probably all been there before, where you're just so emotionally either angry or sad or worried or even happy. You can't think straight, because your brain is just like frozen. It can't work. And that's because that amygdala is barking so loud that you can't hear anything. And so, and the amygdala deals with stress, blood pressure, fear, and when you do the meditation, it's been shown to have decreased gray matter in that section of the brain. So it's really impressive that meditation increases the gray matter in areas of learning, memory processing, emotion regulation, and decreases the gray matter in the area of the amygdala. And that shows how it can really improve the mental well-being. All right, and when we look at the entire body, not only do we see decreased blood pressure, but it also can increase the variability of our heart rate. And while that doesn't sound very exciting or harmful or helpful, it actually plays a critical role in properly transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. So there's a new study actually I read last month sometime that shows with COVID, they can predict if someone is going to have COVID using heart rate monitors on a smartwatch sooner than you can have a positive rapid strep test or rapid COVID test rather. So just that heart rate variability shows sooner than the actual testing. So pretty impressive. Maybe one day we'll all wear heart rate monitors so we can tell if we're getting sick or not. I don't know. But with this mindfulness, you can help to change this response. So pretty cool. There's actually a study with meditators who were given a flu virus, and I don't know who would ever volunteer to get the flu, but both meditators and non-meditators were given the flu virus, and the meditators were better able to produce antibodies to fight it off. So they had increased immune function and improved symptom control. All right, and even going deeper than this, your chromosomes have something called protective protein complexes called telomeres that help reduce damage to your DNA and lower cell death. And a shortened telomere length has been linked to severe diseases, things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer. And amazingly, they did a study with cancer patients. And if they were active with a meditation program, their bodies showed better response to the chemotherapy and increases in that telomere length. So meditation is not a substitute for cancer therapy by any means. These are people who were all getting cancer treatment, but the difference was either they were in a mindfulness program or not doing mindfulness. So it's really impressive how this simple thing can change you down to your chromosomes. All right, we're gonna play another mind trick because these are kind of fun. I want you to kind of look at this and go gradually from side to side. Just let your eyes softly rotate across, and you might start seeing some of these shapes move. This is called the rotating snakes, and some of them will rotate clockwise, some counterclockwise. And if you stop and you just focus on one part, they stop rotating. Does anybody see this or not see it? I guess in the chat box, if you're not seeing it yet, put an N or something. Let you look at it for a minute longer. Well, some of you are seeing it. I think the trick is to let your gaze naturally go over the figure and just once in a while stop and then kind of move again. All right, so back to mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation is when you notice the present moment without judgment. It's not something people with ADHD can do very easily, right? It's hard to just focus on one thing for anybody with anxiety, ADHD, depression. Our minds tend to wander back to the things we're ruminating on, and those are usually negative thoughts. We get distracted and thoughts come into our minds without permission. And we often then make judgments about the thoughts and then keep ruminating about the thoughts. And then whatever it is we're supposed to be thinking of goes away because we're thinking on these other thoughts. And the good news is we can change our brains. And we should never forget that our brains aren't always right. Just like seeing a triangle or seeing the moving snakes, sometimes our brain tells us something that's not the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And understanding this can help us see those other people's perspectives or even step back and look at a problem that we're having from different angles, because we know that what we're thinking and seeing isn't the only thing that's there. And this can help us with communication and problem solving skills. All right, so mindfulness might be better understood with the help of some metaphors. The first one here is a river. And imagine a river is like your stream of consciousness. Thoughts, sensations, emotions, all kind of just flow downstream. And rather than trying to control the river, you're going to observe it with curiosity. Just kind of let things pass without getting carried away by the current. Or you can look at mindfulness like a TV remote and think of your thoughts and emotions like different channels on a TV. Mindfulness is like holding the remote, and instead of just mindlessly flipping channels, the mindfulness allows you to consciously choose the channel that you're going to focus on. Another way is to look at it as if you're a mountain. Mountains are not movable during changing weather patterns, but thoughts, emotions, sensations are like the weather. They can be stormy, they can be calm, but the mountain just is the mountain. All right, and then finally, look at your mind like an ocean. Thoughts and emotions are like waves. The waves rise and fall, but under the surface, the ocean remains calm and still. So even though things are going on up here on the surface, there's things down here that are just calm. So no matter how you look at it, long-term consistent mindfulness practices help change your brain. So we know this through science. We're going to practice a few of these techniques tonight. But first a mind game, because these are fun. I want you to look at this and in the chat box, try to describe what you're seeing. Someone sees a spiral, a cone or a tunnel, pattern. It's hard to describe, isn't it? Yeah. Sometimes it looks flat, other times it looks like a tunnel. And someone just put in an address and things. I don't know if you want to remove that from the group chat. A checkered pattern with licorice going around it. Oh, I like that. You're going to make me hungry though. I haven't eaten dinner yet. But spiral and spinning. Ooh, someone sees motion. Yeah, I actually see motion too. Actually, this is called Fraser spiral, but it's not really a spiral. It is actually a set of concentric circles, and the background just makes it look like it's a spiral. So the illusion's a bit easier to see with the circles outlined in different colors. So if you just look at the innermost red circle, you can follow it all the way around. There's no spiral there. They all just look like a spiral because our brains play tricks. And again, because I need to prove things to myself, I had to sit there with a piece of paper and like circle it with my finger. It's really hard to convince our brains that we're not seeing what we're seeing. And that's just like in life. Sometimes it's really hard to convince ourselves that we're not right, that there are other options, or that we need to change the perspective of how we're looking at things. Because we want to see that spiral. But sometimes it's not really a spiral. And the good news is mindfulness can help you learn to accept your thoughts without judgment, which can help you not ruminate on the negative thoughts and maybe start to see things in other lights. All right, I want you guys all to think about the things that repeat in your head all the time. We all tend to have those thoughts that ruminate up there that, things I wish I would have done this, or, oh, I have to remember to do this. Think about those thoughts that you have. And in a general way, you don't have to disclose too much, but if you're comfortable with it, put in the chat box some examples of things that you ruminate on, those negative thoughts that take up space in your brain. You can think of some of those. Oh, the Museum of Illusions. That's kind of fun. All right. So, but what negative thoughts? Oh, the OCD. So like anything that you're thinking of with OCD, that just keeps going. Rejection sensitivity stuff. Definitely all the negative thoughts come with that. Anyone else? I'm going to fail. Yeah, sometimes I'm not good enough. Mistakes you made. So can you guys think of what these things have in common with one another, even though they're all different things, the overwhelm, not getting enough done, not enough time. What do these things have in common? Just kind of think about that. And this might be more of a reading my mind kind of thing. Oh, anxiety. Yeah. Negative thoughts. One directional thought. Most of us feel the same. Yeah, that's true. Most of us do have these internalized negative thoughts, and people might not see it on the outside because we might come off as, very positive or just in charge of what we're doing, but we might have those negative thoughts just like everybody else. But the reading my mind part is we tend to ruminate or fixate on things in the past that we wish would have had different outcomes, or things in the future that we're not sure of the outcome. Our minds are wired to remember those negative thoughts and to worry about the bad things that are going to happen. And we tend not to worry about the here and now because we're all fine right now, right? We're just sitting here. We're looking at a screen. We're fine. So we don't worry about the here and now. And mindfulness is a way to help ground yourself to the here and now. So where do you start with mindfulness? And the easiest way to get started is to just breathe. Just sit down in a comfortable place where you don't think that people will bother you and spend 5 minutes, 2 minutes, doesn't matter. Just spend a little bit of time focusing on the sensation of breathing, paying attention to how it feels when it enters your nose, how it hits the back of your throat, maybe what it feels like as it expands your lungs or moves your chest, moves your belly. Just really think about, there's a lot that happens when you breathe, and just focusing on the breathing. It doesn't have to be bigger breathing than normal. It doesn't have to be any special kind of breathing, but just focusing on the breath itself. And we're going to practice that here in a minute. But during meditation, it's normal to have thoughts enter your mind. And you might realize that you're thinking of something else, something that you need to do, something that happened that day, some noise you just heard. You're going to label these as thoughts, and you're going to refocus back to your breath. Just say thought to yourself and then push the thought away and get back to your breathing. Don't beat yourself up about it. We all have thoughts. Our brains are designed to think, and they're especially designed to have those worry thoughts. There's no judgment here, though. You're just going to breathe. And mindfulness awareness is not about staying with the breath. It's about returning to the breath. And if you think about it, that's one of the ways that mindfulness helps train your brain to refocus back on what you're supposed to be doing, because mindfulness has been shown to help with focus, even for people who have ADHD. And it's not going to be the only thing you're going to do, but it can help train your brain to get back to whatever it is you're focusing on. And there's different mindfulness techniques, but with this example, it would be return to that breath. So you're going to create a difference between the thinking about the thought and the letting the thought pass by. Because most of the time when we have a thought, we spend some time with that thought. This, we're just going to label it as a thought and push it away. Okay? So remember to focus on the breathing. You can think about the temperature of the air, what it feels like in your nose, in your throat, in your lungs, how it moves your chest or how it moves your belly. So we're going to focus on some breathing. And if you have feelings like pain or an itch, some kind of discomfort, just label it as a feeling and then return to the breathing. So thoughts and feelings, you could just put labels on and then go back to the breathing. But this is why chronic pain sufferers do so well with mindfulness. They learn how to just not focus on whatever their chronic pain is. All right, so I want you guys to watch this circle and breathe in as it expands and breathe out as it gets smaller. As you breathe in, just say in to yourself. And as you breathe out, say out. And breathe in and out. If a thought comes into your mind, just label it, get back to the breath. And over time, this does get easier, and it can improve your ability to monitor your attention and keep it directed to the task at hand. Breath focus has a very calming effect. So that can reduce symptoms of anxiety, lower stress, kind of channels your attention to your breath, which gives you space from that negative self-talk. It lowers cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So that lowers the feelings of anxiety in your body. So if you do this when you're triggered by anything that causes anxiety, that is the easiest and one of the most effective ways to decrease anxiety. Just breathing. We can all do it for free every day. All right, here's another brain trick. I want you to look at the picture and then close your eyes and slowly open them and put in the chat box what you see. And if you don't see it, sometimes changing your angle and looking from the side a little bit. And people are seeing Jesus or a man. So our minds can make up these images. The picture isn't changing. It's a picture of three girls with an altered truck in the background. But it is a mind trick. We try to see, so for those of you who just see the three girls, close your eyes and open just a little bit, just a slit. And does that help? Hopefully you can see it then. All right, so meditation's just about creating a practice, like a training program for anything. If you're going to go run a marathon, you can't just go out and run it tomorrow. You have to start slow, build endurance over time. And training experts for marathons recommend a minimum of 20 weeks before you're ready to run that marathon. And to learn mindfulness, you start slow as well, maybe just 2 or 3 minutes. And then every day is the key. So it's okay not to do it several times a day, but you can do it several times a day. But the key is to consistently do it at least a few minutes every day. And you can increase the time that you're mindful over time, because as you get better at it, it's easier to maintain that level of mindfulness longer. But just with like anything, you have to practice it to get better. And I'm glad that you saw the man afterwards. All right, so you can start your day before you even get out of bed and do a few minutes of mindfulness, or you can use it to help fall asleep at night. You can pair it with something you do every day to help set that routine that will help remind you to do it. You can also do it at other times when you think you need it. Like if you're anxious about something, you can do a couple minutes of mindfulness at that point. But the key is to try to do it at the same time every day. There are a lot of apps that will send you a notification whenever you set for your notification to happen. So you try to have it set when you can do the mindfulness activity, because it's important to do it a few minutes every day. Just like brushing your teeth, it's better to do it for 2 minutes every day than it is to do it for an hour twice a month. If you just brush your teeth for an hour twice a month, your teeth are not going to be very healthy. And the mindfulness works best if you do it for 2 minutes every day, much more than 2 hours once a month. All right, so we're going to take, I'm going to talk. We're going to take brushing teeth as an example. I like it because you should be doing this twice a day, and you can double the mindfulness experience if you do it with every time you brush your teeth. And usually we kind of do it on autopilot. We might be thinking about all kinds of things as we brush our teeth, but we can use all the sensory things that are experienced during brushing teeth as part of the mindfulness. So while you're brushing, you can focus on sensations. So just like you would concentrate on breathing during breathing exercises, you can focus on what you see, what the color of the toothpaste is. What do you hear? Notice the smell, the flavor. Be mindful of your arm physically moving from side to side, the sound and the feel of the toothbrush against your teeth. Feel the bristles on your gums. Feel the bubbles in your mouth and the tingling feeling that the toothpaste gives. There are so many sensations that you get just from brushing teeth. So tonight, when you guys all brush your teeth, I want you to try to be mindful as you do it. Don't sit and think about all the things you have to do tomorrow. Think about what you're doing at the moment. And then it's a great activity because again, you do it twice a day. So it's not the only mindfulness activity that I would recommend doing every day, but it is something that could get you started and in a routine to start. All right. And then our minds also tend to go on autopilot for things that we do over and over again. So when we look at certain actions like eating or even our relationships with other people, it's possible that these become a matter of routine. And so the practice of bringing our attention back to the things that are routine can help make things new. And our attention then can see it from a new light. So that might help relationships or the boring things we have to do on a regular basis. So yeah, give people the full attention they deserve. Be very mindful of your conversations. Be mindful of whatever it is that you're doing throughout the day. Let's try another mind trick. So this one actually is hard. For this one, I don't want you to look at the screen. I want you to turn away and look at your hand. And I want you to stare at your hand, and actually not your whole hand, but focus on one part of your hand, one little line, and just really focus and lock your eyes in on that one little line on your hand. And once you have your eyes locked, then move the hand suddenly away, but don't move your eyes. Keep the lock in your eye. So your focus is right there, right there, right there. And then when you move it. And did any of you guys see anything weird? Maybe put in the chat box if you can see it. And this one might take a little bit. This one took me a while. But it's something you can do when we're all done if you can't see it here. Anyone able to see anything? Double vision. Yeah. Your eyes are really focused on something up close, and then suddenly you move that away. Your eyes are focused here, but the things out there look different. So yeah, for those of you who can't see it, you can maybe try it again later tonight. It is kind of fun when you make yourself do weird things. It'll be a double vision kind of blurry thing because your eyes are focused here, but the things that you're looking at are further out. It's kind of like if you have the camera in the bad focus. All right, so mantras are words, phrases, sounds that are said over and over again to help us meditate or to find a positive mental state. So repeating a healing mantra can calm the mind, help relieve anxiety, help calm you when you're triggered. A mantra can be silently recited in your mind or whispered under your breath to help with stress management, anxiety relief. The phrases used with intention can influence our thoughts, emotions, and even our physiologic responses to stress. It can help regulate your breathing, lower your blood pressure, and all the other responses to anxiety. So repeating mantras can help prevent your mind from wandering, which makes it easier to stay present. And the more focused your mind is during a meditation, the more you can experience calm. And so make time for mantras, write them down, keep a journal of your personalized mantras. Writing these helps reinforce the memory and can help make your intention stronger, but also putting your mantra on Post-it notes in places that will serve as reminders. You can put it on your binder, you can put it on your computer, you can put it on your mirror, wherever you might see it, in places that you're going to need to see whatever it is that you're going to make into your mantra. Help you have some positive thoughts with this. And use routine to incorporate it into your daily life. Repeat it every time you brush your teeth or every time you go to the bathroom. Or maybe every time you pick up your sports bag, if it's geared towards having confidence on the field. Whatever your mantra is, it should reflect the qualities you want to have, like a calm mind, strength, resilience. You're programming your mind to have these quantities. There's a saying that survival of the loudest or something like that. Whatever those thoughts are in your head that are the loudest, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't ever do this. I'm not going to have enough time. All those negative thoughts that we have all the time, if they're the ones that keep taking up space in our brain, that's what we're going to believe. But if you flip your thought to something positive, I am capable, I can do hard things. With every breath, I feel stronger. Whatever you need to hear, you can take up space in your brain saying those things. And if you repeat them enough, you'll start to believe them. So mantras can be very powerful for some positive thinking. And that can help you talk to yourself like a friend. If you've been to any of my talks before, I frequently talk about how we are so mean to ourselves. We are the biggest bullies to ourselves. and we need to be our own best friends. So much more. So start with a positive affirmation or mantra. All right, and then a loving kindness meditation is a popular self-care technique that can also be used to boost well-being, reduce stress, increase capacity for forgiveness and connection to others, and also to gain self-acceptance. Some studies indicate that loving kindness meditation can be useful in the management of social anxiety, interpersonal conflicts, anger, chronic pain, coping with strains of long-term caregiving. So let's try a short loving kindness meditation. I want you to look at the phrases on the slide and choose one to use for this exercise, or if you have one, something like it that you want to do, you can choose it. And then close your eyes and relax your muscles and take a few deep breaths. I want you to imagine yourself experiencing complete physical and emotional wellness and inner peace. Imagine feeling perfect love for yourself, thanking yourself for all that you are, knowing that you're just right, just as you are. Focus on this feeling of inner peace and imagine that you're breathing out tension and breathing in feelings of love. Now repeat the phrase you chose to yourself. Repeat it maybe 3 or 4 times, either silently or out loud. And as you're repeating this phrase, feel the warmth of the words, the self-compassion in them. And if your attention drifts, gently redirect back to the feelings of loving kindness. Let the feelings of loving kindness overcome you. And when you feel that you can, open your eyes and remember that you can revisit the wonderful feelings you've had throughout this day, next day, and beyond. And as you grow in this practice, you can bring feelings of love and acceptance to others, starting with those closest to you, and then expand and extend even to people that you don't know, just like groups of people, or maybe even people that you struggle with relationships. Try to build that feeling of compassion and understand or feel less angry towards them. To relieve interpersonal conflicts. And there's a comment in the box that the inner peace makes you sleepy. And I suspect that's because so often our brains are so wired that we can't calm down. And when you finally feel calm, that's going to feel tiring because you're just relaxed. And that's one of the reasons mindfulness at bedtime is one of the best times to do it. All right, another brain trick in the chat box. See if you can describe what you're seeing here. Obviously, they're railroad ties from a toy train set, but what do you think? Or railroad tracks, not ties. Kind of describe the shape, size, color, something in there. What do you see? Got someone saying that one railroad track is shorter than another. One looks shorter. Someone's getting a hint here. Look, they suspect that they're the same. Yeah, this is one that, rainbow shape, wood color, puzzle. 2 curved train tracks. The top looks more curved. This is actually called the Jastro illusion, and it makes it look like the bottom track is longer than the one above it. They're actually the same size. And Joseph Jastrow discovered this in 1889, and scientists still don't know why our brain perceives one object as longer or shorter than the other when arranged this way. So I had to measure them because, of course, I can't believe it. And even after measuring it, I still can't believe it. And this is a lot like anxiety. Sometimes when we're anxious about something, even when the facts are given to us, that we don't need to worry, we still worry. And even though it makes no sense, we can't convince our brains to think any differently. This is how why we can train our brain to think differently with a little patience and practice. All right. So somebody understands why it's the same. Maybe you can explain that, because the rest of us, I don't know. So I don't know. It is shifted over, correct. But it still looks longer to me. It looks less curvy. But I've actually seen this happen when my kids used to play with train tracks. If they were laying on the floor this way, one would look different size, and then when you pick them up, it's obvious they're the same.
If you match the top arc of the arc on each end,
Mm-hmm.
like if you pulled it over so they, instead of lining up and coming down, if you pulled it over so the top of the arc on that left side were even, it would maybe look like they were the same size.
Right. I can remember doing this quite literally with my kids' train tracks. Like they would look different sizes and I'd hold them up and they were exactly the same. But if you put them arranged this way where they're lined up on the one side, one just looks longer. So our brains are tricky things. All right, moving on to another type of mindfulness activity called body scans. And body scans are not a sci-fi thing or even an expensive medical test in the context of mindfulness. We can all learn to do body scans. Body scan meditation involves paying attention to parts of the body and the bodily sensations in a gradual sequence from either head to toe or toe to head. Some people will go both. They'll go down and then back up. And this method can help people become more aware of their physical sensations, emotions, and feelings. And you can learn about the needs of your body. So body scan meditation is an excellent way to release physical tension that you might not even realize that you have. Sometimes you can be so caught up in your stress that you don't realize the physical discomfort that you're having, like headaches, backaches, shoulder pain, tense muscles. It's connected to our emotions, but we don't recognize it for what it is. So by mentally scanning yourself, you bring awareness to every part of your body, noticing all the aches and the pains, the tension or general discomfort. And the goal is not to relieve the pain, but just to get to know it and learn from it so that you can better manage it. All right, so we're going to try it. We're going to just do the head and neck in the interest of time, which, yeah, we've got like 20 minutes left. So I want you guys to find a comfortable position, either sitting or laying down. And then close your eyes. And then start with a deep breath in and out. And then another big breath. And if you notice any uncomfortable sensations during the scan, focus your attention on them. Breathe into them and see what happens. You're going to visualize the tension leaving your body through your breath and evaporating into the air. Maybe take one more big breath. And as you do that, focus on the very top of your head. Do you feel any air moving on it? What's the temperature of your scalp? Your hair moving, or is it pulled tight against your head? And then move on to your forehead. Does it feel hot or cold? Are the muscles tight or relaxed? Maybe you don't notice anything, and that's okay. Move down to the eyebrows. Are they in a neutral position? Are they scrunched up? Are your eyelids closed? And if so, are they tightly or loosely closed? Can you see any light through them? Are your eyes steady or moving? And what do you notice about your lips and mouth? Is your jaw tight or loose? Moving down to your neck, do you notice any tension? Can you feel any loose hairs? Maybe the shirt collar? How about your shoulders? Are they tight or hanging loose? Do you feel the weight of your shirt on your shoulders? Now, true body scan, you're going to keep going down. But again, we only have limited time. So you can open your eyes after taking maybe a big breath. And then how do you guys feel after that? Did you notice any tension? Maybe give a thumbs up or thumbs down with the icons, or you can try to just put in the chat. And sometimes you don't notice much, and that's okay. To relax afterwards, that can be very relaxing. Thumbs up. All right, I think this is the last of the brain tricks. This image is called Confetti Sphere 5. It demonstrates something called the Munker White illusion. I want you guys to put in the chat box how many colors of balls that you see. Oh, someone's catching on to these mind trick things. Just putting 1, 3, 3. Technically, 1. Oh, people might have seen this one before. Either that or they're more smart than me. Because some of you have gotten it right. David Novak is the creator of this image and professor of engineering and engineering education in El Paso. And these spheres might look like they're red, green, and blue, but they're all the same shade of beige. So if you get really close in and zoom in, you can see that the colors of the balls are the same. We perceive the spheres as different colors because our visual ability for shape is better than our acuity for color, which means that we perceive the shapes with more detail and the colors with less detail. So Shauna put like the bags they put oranges in. I'm not sure what that. Oh, like the holes in it. Are the bags not orange? I can't even picture what the bags are. Are they green? To make them look really, oh, I see what you're saying, to make the oranges look orange.
Right. That's like when you see the oranges and like you see them through the clear plastic, they're not as desirable looking, but when you see them through the back, it's kind of got the orange lines and it makes them look like they're really good.
I hear what you're saying there. Yes, that probably is something that somebody thought through and made happen. But yeah, that's a really good point. So you're thinking outside the box there. So anyway, when we look at the outlines of the spheres, they look identical. The color kind of bleeds in over the spaces. So the color of the sphere gets pulled closer to the color of the stripes that cross over them. So I want you guys to all remember these brain tricks when you and somebody else have a different opinion of something. Because sometimes we're really stubborn about our perspectives and we think we're right and we just know the other person's wrong. But we need to remember that there are other ways to look at things. And while we can believe all that we see with our own eyes, that's kind of that saying, I saw it with my own eyes. Sometimes what we see isn't the whole story. And so I want you to remember that. Our brains aren't perfect, especially when emotions are strong. We remember things not as they are. Have you ever seen a child tell their parents to stop yelling, but the parent's not yelling? The kid really does think that the parent is yelling at them. The child feels like they're being yelled at, despite the fact that nobody's yelling. And you can't tell them any differently. While they're upset, you just have to wait until they're like calmed down. And sometimes even eyewitnesses, like in a crime scene, they recall the scene differently based on how they stored the memory. They're not lying on the stand. Their memory is just different based on what they recall. So our brains work in mysterious ways sometimes. All right, mental imagery is another one of the mindfulness techniques. It's a multisensory process that draws on senses to create this vivid mental image of whatever we're looking at. Visualization is really popular with people who need to relax, popular with athletes. It's been studied a lot actually with athletes. And interestingly enough, in studies, athletes who practice mindfulness improve how they perform almost as well as if they actually are practicing. So they can think about practicing running through the plays, and they will get better at whatever their sport is almost as much as if they actually exercise and do the practice. So by enhancing your relaxation skills with visualization, you can lower your fight or flight, you can help your anxiety, you can use it for performance anxiety before you have to talk in front of a crowd. If you have social anxiety, before you go to events or do things, you can practice it in your mind. And that has really been shown to help decrease your overall anxiety in those situations. So during the time, you just mentally rehearse it, showing yourself doing everything right. You breathe easy, you close your eyes, and you use the mental imagery to just kind of visualize yourself performing well or doing a good job, and succeeding in whatever it is you need to do. And this positive self-talk can change your attitude. All right, so we're going to practice one. I want you guys to close your eyes and take a nice big deep breath. And imagine that you're sitting, resting on a white sandy beach. You feel really safe and calm, really relaxed. You see the turquoise water and a clear blue sky. You hear the sound of soft waves. The trees are rustling gently in the breeze. You can smell the salty air from the ocean waves. You feel the weight of your body just sinking into the beach chair. You can feel the warmth of the sand on your feet. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your legs and the cool of the shade on your face under the umbrella. I want you just to relax your face and let go of any tension. Relax your neck muscles, your shoulders. Soften your eyes and just rest. Allow your breath to slow down. Match the waves. It's just effortless to be here. Spend some time just taking it all in. And once the relaxation feels complete, imagine that you get up and slowly walk away from the beach. But remember that this beautiful place is here anytime you want to return. You take your time and slowly open your eyes. All right, how do you all feel now? I do see that someone has to go. So thank you for coming. Did you feel calm? Yeah, this is so relaxing. This is a good one to do if you're worried about something or you can't sleep at night. And then, of course, this was just a relaxation one, but you can also put yourself in the position where you're scoring the goal or you're giving a talk or you're doing anything that you need to do to show yourself that you can do it. You can use it if you have social anxiety. You're nervous about going to a friend's party because of how many people are going to be there, but you want to go. So you visualize yourself at the party, having fun, talking to people, enjoying yourself. And the key is to really set the stage so you feel like you're there. Think about all of your senses, what you're going to see, what you're going to hear, how you're going to feel, smell, taste. Think about what it feels like to be comfortable in the situation. There's no anxiety in this scenario. You're going to consider how your mind is less focused on the worrying and is enjoying the moment. And then when the time actually comes to actually attend the party, you might find it easier, less anxiety inducing because you've already visualized it going well. So you can keep those memories. So this can work for test anxiety, public speaking, sports performance, many other situations that you're nervous about because you can practice it in your head before actually going through it. And the more you practice, the more relaxed you'll be. All right, one final type of mindfulness that we're going to practice is called progressive muscle relaxation. So this involves a step-by-step kind of tensing and then releasing of muscle groups. It can help to reduce tension and stress. It's a really popular sleep aid. So you can do your whole body, but again, in the interest of time, we're just going to do one part. I want you to start by either sitting or laying in a comfortable position and close your eyes. And then as always, take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And repeat another big breath. And as you inhale, I want you to tense your toes, press them into the ground. And release the tension as you exhale. Take a deep breath in and out. And then repeat, tensing the muscles of your toes. And then as you release, as you breathe out. You can take a final deep breath. As in an actual session, you would move up to your calves, then your thighs, then your other body parts. If you're not sure how to tense body parts, I'm going to send a video later of a way to help recognize the video or the muscle groups and how to tense them. And I'll also send some mindfulness apps that can help with some of these too. But practicing this can build it into your toolbox of resources to manage emotions and stress. Any new meditation style you learn, you need to practice for several days in a row to learn them well. And one thing that's great about the progressive muscle relaxation is after a bit of practice, you can adapt it to fit your needs. So if you're sitting at school or at the desk at the work and you feel stressed, you can tense and relax your legs. No one's going to notice you're doing it, but it helps to regulate and relax your body. All right, so in summary, mindfulness and meditation have been shown to be effective to help calm the mind, improve focus, and those things really help for anxiety, ADHD, all kinds of things. And long-term consistent use is what's really needed. It's got the science backing up, so even if you feel like it's not going to help you, you have to just give it a try. Start with a minute a day, 2 minutes a day, whatever you can do, and just focus. And again, there's lots of resources online and in apps that you can use. Calm and Headspace are two of the common apps, but they have very short trial periods. So when I was choosing an app to try, I chose something called Balance. I chose it solely because it had some decent reviews and they offer a 1-year free trial period. So if you choose to do that and you're a teen, you will need a parent's credit card. Even if you're a parent or an adult, you will need a credit card. So I always recommend if you're going to do something like that, put an alert in your calendar to remind you to cancel the subscription before they're going to charge you. And especially since it's a year away, you're going to need that reminder. I'm sure they will send you reminders too, but those tend to get buried in emails. So if you want it on your calendar so you don't miss it, or if you like it, you can pay for it. But a year of the Balance app gives you time to really get into a habit, because you're going to get into it for a couple of days, then you're going to fall out of favor for a while, then you're going to get back into it, then you're going to stop it for a while. But a year gives you the opportunity to do it every day for a while. Because if you do a new skill for a month or two, you will build that into your daily routine. So again, tying it to things you do, setting a timer or a notification to have it show up at a time that you can do it most days, I think that will really help. And then for those of you who have littler kids, Common Sense Media is one of my favorite resources. I used to use it when my kids were little to look up movies and games and things like that to see if they were age appropriate. But they also have these apps reviewed, so you can see suggested ages and choose one that might be good for your family. And then Cosmic Kids Yoga is one of my favorite things for kids to do as well. Yoga is a form of mindfulness. And for younger kids who need to move, the Cosmic Kids Yoga and other kid yoga is really good. And then finally, if you change the way you look at things, the thing you look at will change. I want you guys to remember that. Any questions? Looks like I even ended up right on time. So we do have time for questions. Jeremy, I don't know if you want to stop the recording so people can unmute and just talk, or do you want to keep it in the chat box and then we can keep the recording going?